Hey guys, today is Wednesday, December 16th. The time is 3:54 p.m. and the temperature outside is minus 6 degrees Celsius. I'm here at Sherbourne Station in downtown Toronto. And this would be the eastern Glen Road exit. And just up those stairs there, you will find Bloor Street East. And I'm currently walking south on Glen Road. The plan for this one is to head over to Ontario Street, and from there I'll walk south all the way down Ontario to where it ends at King Street East. The entire walk should be a little under 2.5 kilometers or so. And this here is Howard Street. So this would be the St. Jamestown neighborhood. I'll actually be passing through 4 neighborhoods along the way. First will be St. Jamestown, and then it'll be through Cabbagetown, and then Moss Park, and finally the St. Lawrence neighborhood. There's a look west towards Sherbourne Street. This would be in the northeastern section of downtown. And just to the south here are the high rises of St. Jamestown. There are 19 high rises in total, and they were built sometime in the 1960s. Originally, they were built to house middle-class residents. However, not too long after they were built, they transitioned into more of a lower income sort of neighborhood, and it's pretty much been that way ever since. The next major street to the east of here is Parliament Street, and this is where the northern end of Ontario Street begins. So we'll be cutting right through the middle of the St. Jamestown apartments. And what's interesting about Ontario Street is it's not continuous all the way down. It actually starts and stops in about 4 different sections, if I can remember. The first one being just up ahead here. Prior to the construction of these apartments, this area was previously full of older 19th century Victorian style homes. A number of them still remain in the Cabbagetown neighborhood, which is both just to the south and to the east of here. And you may have noticed those homes on Glen Road were older Victorian style homes. So those were the kind of homes that used to exist in this area. And this would be the first section where Ontario Street breaks up. and that would be Rose Avenue Public School. This small stretch of road here would be considered Ontario Street. However, as soon as it starts, it ends again. And this here is St. James Avenue. There's a look back up north. One of the concerns when they first built this neighborhood was that there was not enough amenities in place to support such a large community. And a lot of the middle class families they were trying to attract ended up moving out to the suburbs. And just up here on the left is a Food Basics, which is a lower cost grocery store. And this here is Wellesley Street. You could take this east into the Cabbagetown neighborhood, or you could do as I'm about to and just go south into Cabbagetown. Off to the west there, you will find Wellesley Station on line 1 of the subway system. And here Ontario Street transforms from being mostly high-rises to those 19th century Victorian homes. So this area would be classified as Cabbagetown. And this is a one-way street now heading north. And I think that flip-flops a few different times as we head south. There was actually a proposal at one point for St. Jamestown to take over all of this land to the south of where it is now. Had that have gone through, I'd be walking through a field of high-rises. And here's the third spot where the street will come to another end, and this is the Winchester Street Junior and Senior Public School. That there on the right is a co-op housing development. So it looks like the school occupies both of these buildings here. A newer one and an older one. That's kind of neat. And this here on the right is Winchester Park. And that's kind of neat how these two apartment buildings are connected. There's a look east down Winchester Street. And most of these older Cabbagetown homes date back to the 1800s. I think a number of them even have heritage status and go as far back as 1837. There's a look down one of the laneways where people will be able to park their cars. Of course, cars didn't even exist yet when most of these properties were first built. And there is Winchester Square Park with the Aura condominium tower looming behind it. So that would be the intersection of Gerrard and Yonge Street. And we're at Carlton Street, so you could take this to the east all the way to Riverdale Park West. That's where Carlton will terminate. And to the west at Yonge Street, you'll find College Station. And there is the Irv. I met a friend here on the patio this summer. Didn't have anything to eat, so I couldn't tell you what the kitchen was like. Here's a really interesting looking house. It says it's a School of the Arts. And I'm quite sure this house here has special historical status. And a lot of these homes on the left do go back to 1837. On my way to recording these walks, I'll often pull up my phone, and there's a website where there's a list of historical buildings in the city, and it listed this particular stretch of Ontario Street as having a number of older 1837 homes. And this is Gerrard Street East. And now instead of flowing north, traffic heads south. And even though it's -6, it actually doesn't feel so bad. I would chalk that up to being, or rather, to there not being a whole lot of wind right now. But I do believe this is the coldest day of the season so far. And this is the Central Neighborhood House. I actually couldn't tell you anything all about it. Perhaps I should have looked that up. Oops. And this next street will be Dundas Street, and then after that will be Shooter Street, and I'll find myself walking through the Moss Park apartments. That lane will take you east to Parliament Street. And this is Dundas Street East. If you were to make a drinking game out of taking a shot every time you saw a discarded mask on the ground, you would certainly get hammered in no time. And just to the west, down Dundas Street at Yonge, you'll find Dundas Square, as well as the Eaton Centre. A lot of people do consider this part of the east side of downtown to be somewhat dangerous, although I don't think that reputation is particularly warranted. To the east of here is Regent Park, and that was another affordable housing development. And just to the south of here is Moss Park. Which is another development, and this one has a lot of public housing. That's what those buildings are in the distance. So I'm assuming at one point, a long time ago, Ontario Street was continuous. And then these various developments kept springing up and breaking up the street along the way. And those suckers have to be pretty old. So coming up is Shooter Street. And just to the east of here at Sherbourne Street, you'll find Moss Park itself. And just east of that will be the Moss Park Armory. And this is the neighborhood where you will find Kim's Convenience. Or at least the exterior of the store that the CBC show is based on. Or rather, not on Shooter Street, that'll be to the south of here on Queen Street. Had a little brain malfunction on that one. I'll blame the cold weather. And these are the Moss Park apartments. And someone's pair of Nikes. So this should be the last time Ontario Street breaks up along the way. Although I think at Adelaide Street, it doesn't directly connect to the south. You have to walk a little bit to the side to get to it. We'll be there soon enough. And I think these buildings are mostly public housing. There are a number of homeless shelters in this area. As well as a safe injection site. It's a look towards the financial district. And this will be Kim's Convenience. I might as well just detour all the way around here. That's one of those spots people are constantly asking me to record. So this here is Queen Street East. There goes the westbound 501 streetcar. That one will be heading all the way across the city to the Long Branch Loop. And the sign there says Old Town Toronto. And Ontario Street resumes. Although I think this is actually part of the St. Lawrence neighborhood, which is within Old Town. There's so many different overlapping neighborhood names in the city. And this is Richmond Street, where traffic flows to the west. And I don't have a marked crossing. That's okay. It's one of the advantages of a one-way street. It's pretty easy to jaywalk. And just to the south of here will be Adelaide Street, another one-way street that runs in the other direction. They've salted the sidewalks all over the city, so it's hard not to walk around without crunching your feet, or rather making those crunchy sounds with your feet. There's a look west down Adelaide Street. Ontario Street continues just over there, only for a block, and then it ends at King Street East. I'm just waiting for a break in traffic. There we go. At last, it's the end of Ontario Street, or the beginning, depending on which way you look at it. Yeah, let's take one last look north up Ontario Street. And I hope you enjoyed this trip from Sherbourne Station, out the Glen Road exit, and then south down Ontario Street all the way to King Street East. Perhaps I'll leave the camera running as I head west. I'm thinking about doing a live stream tonight. It is a bit cold, so perhaps it won't be the longest one. I think maybe the park at St. James Cathedral would be a nice place to start it. since that's just up ahead, I'll just record this last part of the walk. Sometimes after I record these walks, I do make a bonus video, which I upload to my Johnny Stumbles channel. I'll have one going up pretty soon where I walk along King Street West, and I hop on the streetcar and record that. North on Sherbourne Street. And that's the 75 Sherbourne bus that will be heading down to Queen's Quay, which is right in front of Lake Ontario. And one thing I'm not seeing a whole lot of are cyclists. I say that just as one rides in front of me there. Whoa, I think that car doesn't know how to handle a right turn at a red light. He barely even slowed down, let alone come to a complete stop. There's a look north up at the George Brown College campus. This is part of it as well. I have recorded one of these narrated walks down King Street East. So if you're interested in hearing a bit more about this neighborhood and these buildings, feel free to look that one up. And this is George Street. And I think I'll be doing a walk up George Street in the coming weeks. This part of King Street East has certainly gentrified quite a bit over the last 10 to 15 years. And this is Jarvis Street, so I'm pretty much at the park. And we have arrived in the park at St. James Cathedral there. That's the building in which Church Street got its name. That was the site of the first church in the old town of York. Although it's been replaced a few different times. So again, I hope you enjoyed this walk. If you wish to support the channel, there's a link to my Patreon account in the description. You can also check out channel memberships from the main YouTube page. And of course I have an Instagram account, which I occasionally upload a not so professional video or a photograph to every now and then. Alright guys, thanks for watching. I will catch you on the next one.